I was able to be in the middle of these various functions. So that taught me about team and relationships and the impact from one end of an organization to the other. That helped me to gain some of the confidence in, okay, I get how these structures work now. And then from there, you kind of need the impetus, right? So then you have opportunity. So you take this culmination of like, I'm reflecting on myself, I'm understanding how company works, I'm understanding the industry, and now there's a moment, right? So there's that point in time where you stop talking about it and you just leap. And for me, it was getting laid off. And so for me, it was like, I just don't have any more excuses. I have the tools I need. How much of your energy goes into making other people's dreams come true? And at that point, it was like, all right, I think I'm ready.
Okay, welcome to Beta Tested. This is the podcast for leaders who believe growth never stops. Each week, I sit down with inspiring women to explore the moments that challenge them, change them, and shape the way they lead. Because the best leaders aren't the ones who have it all figured out. They're the ones that keep learning. I'm so excited for today. Let's get started.
Yes.
Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Hello, friend. I'm Priti Ohri. I am the CEO and co-founder of Advertible.
It's so nice to see you, have you, talk to you.
Always.
Tell me, what is Advertible?
So Advertible is a creative infrastructure company. We work in both the programmatic and agentic space with supply-side platforms primarily and dabbling on the buy side as well. But really just helping to elevate creative in real life, in real time.
Did you say founder and CEO?
Correct.
Those are two big titles. That's amazing. And when they intersect, even better, which means if you look, or you're me, and you'll notice later today that I stalked you on LinkedIn to remember why I fell in love with you in the beginning. Your career trajectory has been amazing, and you continue to evolve even in the short time that I've known you, maybe a year. But you did walk away from a rather successful corporate career. Can you walk us through what that path looked like, where you cut your teeth, and eventually why you decided to move on to your own?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is so much to learn from large organizations. There is a lot to learn from growing organizations. And the most important thing is you learn about yourself. You learn about what you like, what you don't like, what types of environments encourage you to grow, and which ones make you shrink. I started my career a very long time ago, over 20 years ago. I had a short stint in the retail space, not retail media, in the retail space in a leadership development program for Target. Then I ended up at Viacom. I think I told the story on another podcast, but I started in the accounting department. At some point I did petty cash. So I would hand out wads of cash for, Pimp My Ride and other options like that. And then I ended up in ad sales because obviously I wanted to go where the company was earning its money. And so I did ad sales for Nick at Night and TV Land. If you remember.
What was on Nick at Night at that time?
It's like Bewitched.
Oh, that was a good era. That wasn't still Mary Tyler Moore, was it?
There might have been. It was okay. It was what moms watch at night when their babies go to sleep.
But now it's like stuff that I grew up with, and I'm like, Nick at Night is playing like Full House.
Yeah. No, back then it was like Three's Company, Bewitched, like things like that. Yeah,
cool.
The good old shows.
Yeah,
yeah. From there, I decided I wanted to go to business school because this ad thing was like not for me. And so I went to business school. I focused on luxury goods. No surprise, I like to shop. So, in some of the fine homes of LVMH and Coach. And then I realized I didn't really have a lot of data. So I was making these decisions around planning and buying and investments for production of scarves and umbrellas and things. And I didn't have any information to make the decisions on where to invest a year from now. And my thought was, I need to go where there's data because I'll only feel secure in the decisions I'm making if I have the information at my fingertips. So I found myself at an ad tech startup. And this is way like 2009, 2010. And from there, I went to an ad network. And once we started selling programmatically, I was like, a light bulb went off for me. And it was like, this is really smart. We finally have a solution to this inefficiency in advertising. And I want to go do that. And so I found myself a role at DataZoo, which was where I cut my teeth. And I would say, you know, everyone has a place that shapes their career. For me, that was it. I learned, I got to do so many different things. And I had people that I looked up to there that taught me the value of team, that taught me the value of being myself and really understanding our industry. A lot of people that I loved and respected there. From then I went to Owner IQ, where I really focused on second-party data and that connection point between consumers, brands, and retailers, into retail media. Then went on to a platform that had both buy and sell side capabilities, where we were, as a small team, developing differentiators in a space that was getting very saturated. And so between my product marketing, product strategy, commercialization team, and the exchange development team, we developed and launched some new formats into our exchange and realized, hey, there's something here that is creating a net new revenue stream for this company. What would it look like if we built something extensible? And a few of us started having conversations and we're like, can we solve this gap on a larger scale? And that's kind of where we came out with this idea of, there's still space for those emerging formats that never fully emerged, and really elevating creative in that programmatic space.
You said something really interesting that I kept thinking about as you were talking, which was you knew you wanted data to be your compass, essentially. Is that something that you felt growing up too? Like, were you always influencing others with data first before emotion, or like, what's the psychology?
I had just finished business school, and I think there was a lot of rigor in my thinking at that point in time. And so I was like, I need structure. I need to create structure. I think at that point it was data, but then, and that was just my signal of like, I need to get out of here because something is wrong, right? Like something wasn't clicking for me. That later became leadership or teams or product or something else. But it was that internal guidance or that voice, the intuition that really guided me to say, okay, I don't belong. This is no longer my home. I need to go somewhere else. And I think it was more that than the data factor. The data was the light bulb for me of like, oh, something is missing and I need to listen to that voice inside of me. And I think that's going to guide me to what's next.
So when your intuition was speaking to you, what were the things that had to be true for you to go off on your own, for you to believe you had a viable product like that? I think anyone who hasn't been through it is in awe at the bravery it takes, because everyone has a dream, but the difference between you and them is those who actually go after it. And you went after it. You're going after it. How did you do that?
Well, I will first say it is not for the faint of heart. It is not there's no fantasy. There's no idealism here. It's really, it goes back to that knowing yourself, right? So I think it starts with an understanding of you, right? So there's no single moment that drives it. It's this culmination of history that makes you, right? So there's this understanding of who you are, what motivates you, what drives you. I once had a CEO that said, you're either a builder or you're a follower. Figure out which one you are. And at that moment, that stuck with me. And then it was 10 years later that I actually took action on that, right? But that little piece of information stuck with me, and it stays with me because it was very true. In his words, he was encouraging me to go reflect and figure out who I am, right? In not such a fluffy way. And then it was okay, I know I have to do that discovery. But then there's also this other part, which is okay, even if I am a builder, how do you build something? What does a company need to look like? How do these functions interact? And I think for me, the unlock was being able to understand how cross-functional teams work together, interacting on, developing solutions and RFPs and RFIs for customers. So I understood all of the different functions involved, from legal and finance to commercialization to product marketing, products, sales, services, the engineering team, the innovation team. Everyone was involved in these large client pitches. So knowing how to not just navigate, but orchestrate those relationships, and then talking to your customers, right? So it was really that I was able to be in the middle of these various functions. So that taught me about team and relationships and the impact from one end of an organization to the other. That helped me to gain some of the confidence in, okay, I get how these structures work now. And then from there, you kind of need the impetus, right? So then you have opportunity. So you take this culmination of like, I'm reflecting on myself, I'm understanding how company works, I'm understanding the industry, and now there's a moment, right? So there's that point in time where you stop talking about it and you just leap. Oh. And for me, it was getting laid off, right? So so getting laid off was the thing that was like, well, there's nothing left to lose at this point, right? And so for me, it was like, I just don't have any more excuses. I have the tools I need.
You could have gone back to another job in a heartbeat.
I could have, but I also was just, we've talked about this, like how much of your energy goes into making other people's dreams come true. And at that point, it was like, all right, I think I'm ready. I don't think anyone's ever ready, by the way. I think you just have to leap when the opportunity shows up.
You know what's funny about that is I have this distinct memory of, Jeremy Bloom of Marketecture. He said the same thing when he went off on his own, which was, why am I working towards someone else's dreams? And for both of you to say that is a real aha moment.
And look, if you're deeply aligned with those dreams and you feel like you're creating an impact, like this is not for everyone, right? Like not everyone needs to go out and build something with their own hands. There are a lot of folks that are secure and happy and really, really good at helping to execute and make those things happen that need to happen because they can see.
We need those people.
We need those people. They can see the gaps that not everyone else can see. So there's a lot of like benefit to being on both sides. It's just you need to know which one you are.
In some ways, it's harder to be in your shoes because actually my boyfriend is in real estate. And in real estate, if you don't close, you don't eat.
Yeah.
And he, as I always think about entrepreneurship and like, wow, he's betting on himself. There's no base salary. He pays for his insurance. And I'm like, that is, and I'm saying this to you, like one of the bravest things you could possibly do. But you recently wrote that almost none of the hardest parts of building a company make a press release. Yeah. What has been your messy middle?
You start this journey and you actually don't know what you're getting into. And you're like, oh yeah, it's going to be like a case study in business school. You have a group and you do a thing and like there's an outcome. Doesn't quite work that way. It is a leap that you take, a leap of faith. But I would say, we decided pretty early on that we were going to bootstrap. And so in doing that, and for those of you who are not familiar with entrepreneurship, you have a couple of different ways to fund your company. You can either go out and raise funding. You can get investors, friends and family, angels. There's all different ways you can get money. Other option is you bootstrap, which means you fund it either with your own money or with the money that the company earns. And so we decided that we were not going to go seek funding and that we had enough of a product that we figured we could get it off the ground quickly and get it into market. So I would say the messy middle, or the part we didn't expect or anticipate, is really the length of time it takes to get from 0 to 1. And really what that means is you have to have so much conviction in what you're doing and so much trust in yourself and your team, because those are the moments where you're like, I don't know when I'm going to see any money. And you have to be very creative on your feet in terms of thinking about, okay, do I need to do something on the side? What happens if I take on, another role full time? Or what if I do some consulting? And there are implications then on your business. And I've seen founders that have taken that route and have continued to work and have also then invested time on the side, but it turns into a side project. So in my case, it was like we kind of had to just leap all in and really maintain that level of passion and like conviction, even when it was hard, even when we knew there's not going to be an output for a while. And so that was like the thing. But my co-founder is amazing. And those moments where I stress out or freak out, he is a very calming voice for me.
Why not take out funding or have investors?
Yeah, there's a number of different reasons. I think number one is it's your own, you have control over your own destiny. That's one big thing. It's that like you eat what you kill mentality. And in that, it's that's all yours, right? Like there's some level of pride that you take in doing it. And there's also less influence. And so you can stay true and clear in what your vision is without having other people's influence and their agenda impacting how you run your business.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom. Okay. Well, my question next is switching gears a little bit. Is there anything outside of work that makes you the leader that you are inside of work? And the reason I ask that is because I think it's interesting. We know each other in the business sense. And for you specifically, we are going outside of work so I can get to know you even more in another context, but shed some light on who you are outside of work and how it parlays into your day-to-day.
Yeah. So I would say one of the big things that happened recently is my mom, my 86-year-old mom, decided she wanted to move in with me. And so about a year ago, she moved in here, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, do you get along with your mom?" And it's like, is there some drama? And it's like, no, she's just like sweet old lady who wants to hang out and watch, Golden Girls with me or something. Outside of work, it's really having her here has reminded me that there is more than work. Because when she didn't live with me, I would just sit, and try to hustle and try to do the things and try to make something happen. And what she's reminded me of, and what my niece and nephew who live down the street have reminded me, that it's not just about work. You have to have those moments of like fluidity. I want to go eat lunch with her. I'm going to go sit outside and eat lunch with her. I want to take her to a doctor's appointment. I'm going to do that. If I have to go to my nephew's 5th grade concert at 9 a.m., I'm going to do that, because all of those things are really important to me. And I think that if I didn't have that, I couldn't lead with the love that I do with my product and my, with my team and with our customers. Really, right? If you have that same level of love and integrity that you give every day to everyone else, you give that back to yourself in that same way. And then you share it more fully. And so I think having those things outside of this are important. I also love to dance, and I've created community around Zumba. We just did a World Cup dance thing on Saturday, and it was great.
Of course you did. Yeah. That's amazing.
It's just like all of those things happen, and then you naturally create community. And then that community really like perpetuates more of that positivity and that energy around you.
You are so good at creating community. And in that, I see all over, and I don't mean literally see, but I witness and experience that you bring women together. Why is that so important to you?
I think especially at this point, it's important because I don't have a team, right? Like, I think at some point in those other jobs, I had 10, 15 people that I would spend all day, every day doing one-on-ones and managing people's energy and helping them to solve problems. And I had a role that was bigger than myself in influencing people. And when you leave that world, I think the thing I missed was the interaction with people. The great thing is now I can choose who the people are that I want, because you get a mix of everything when you have a team that you lead. And I think the beauty is that now I've determined what the community is that I want around me. And I've very intentionally built those spaces. So I recognize that there isn't a lot of South Asian representation in ad tech. And so creating a community where South Asians can get together or have a place to chat or encourage each other with job openings or, things like that, or having a space for women that are of like minds and like agendas. So not about having necessarily a place to push a network or to leverage each other in a way that feels false, but rather encouraging each other in a very natural way, because we don't need to compete. There's enough.
It's so who you are. Just so you know, the first time I met you, I was like, she is a woman's woman. And what I mean by that is you might be direct, but you are kind and you are supportive and you nurture the relationships that you have. It's really amazing.
Thank you.
One of the goals I have for Beta Tested is to enable listeners to take more risks. Yet women underestimate themselves.
Yeah.
I feel like you bet on yourself. How can I narrow or close that gap? Why are we still underestimating ourselves?
I think we oftentimes think we're not ready because there is this expectation that society has placed on what an entrepreneur looks like, what a leader looks like, what a badass boss looks like, right? Like there are these like terms and these words that define who we are with these visual images of what you need to look like or what you need to sound like or how you show up. And honestly, the world is better when everyone shows up as a truest version of themselves. And I think just recognizing that you're more ready than you give yourself credit for is the important thing to recognize. Like just keep working on yourself, keep listening to those signals and those thoughts that are guiding you. And once you hear that, you'll know your flavor of leadership. You don't have to emulate anyone else. You just have to be your version of you. And when that happens, like magic takes place. You enable other people to do the same.
And you have to be willing to like really look in the mirror, because I can be me, but if I don't have self-awareness, like those two things don't connect. And so what I'm hearing from you is
totally
maybe a takeaway is work on self-awareness, like build that muscle, look in the mirror, ask for feedback, and be okay accepting it and seeing yourself for who you actually are so you can be the best authentic version of yourself.
And I think like reflection isn't just like, I'm sad today or I'm angry. It's digging into like what's driving that for you. Like what's actually at the root of that. And there's a lot of healing that needs to happen. And I think if people take time to do that work and do that self-reflection, you eventually get to like what's causing some of these issues, right? It's like when people go on vacation and then they do 100 activities in a day. And then they're like, I'm so exhausted from my vacation. I need vacation. And it's like a joke. But in reality, it's like you don't grow through action. You grow through reflection. So it's about like, okay, I saw 100 things. Now let me sit down and think about what I saw. And I don't know that there's enough time being put into that second part.
It would be a great processing partner. I'm calling you after this, after we hang up. Okay. If your younger self could see you, what would she say?
Obviously that I'm awesome. No.
Obviously.
I think coming from an immigrant family, I'm Indian. My parents grew up in India. I wasn't like in an overly traditional, like super stifled environment, but there were still expectations and there were thoughts of, you grow up, you get married, you have kids, you do these set of things in this order, and there are some rules around it. So I hope that if I ever get to talk to my younger self, that she would be proud of me for not giving in, for not giving up, for not following the rules and not turning into someone else's version of me.
This podcast is called Beta Tested, because we're all beta testing something. What's something in closing that you are beta testing now that you're still working through, processing, working on, or just testing in your everyday life?
I think the idea that achievement and peace can coexist is a finding that I've had recently that is really important. And I think that idea that that entrepreneur equals hustle doesn't have to be your normal. And I'm working through that, not just for myself, but to help others realize you don't have to work, endless hours in order to be or feel successful for yourself and your version of what that is. You can do it in your way, and it can feel good, and it can have lasting outcomes for yourself and create lasting impact for everyone around you.
Mic drop. Really inspiring conversation. I'm grateful you're in my life.
I'm so happy that we
I know. I feel like we and you separately are just getting started. So cheers, raise a glass tonight, because I know your younger self would be in awe. Tell your mom I said hi.
I will.
And I'll text you very soon.
Okay. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.